Jeremy sits down with Jarrod Davis today on the Riff. Jarrod is the campus pastor in Republic, and he shares his story on how he ended up at North Point. He also makes a comment that his least favorite Riff episodes are the ones with Justin on them. I would like to be the first one to say how much I disagree with Jarrod on this point. I really like Jarrod, but I don't know what he's thinking. I would also like to let everyone listening know that Justin wrote this intro. We hope today is helpful and hopeful. Thanks for listening.
Hello, Riff listeners. A great day to have you joining us in this conversation because I have my friend Jarrod Dale Davis. Is that correct?
That's it.
Man, J double D.
Yeah.
Good to have you, Jarrod.
Yeah, good to be here.
Okay,
in the hot seat.
First time ever on the Riff, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever listened to the Riff?
I have.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I don't. No.
Finish that sentence because
I don't.
also...
There's so many. There's so
many.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're also
good.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
They're tied.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you have a least favorite episode of the Riff?
Probably anything with Justin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I know. I understand that. Here's my annoying problem. Though I feel that. The demand, our riffraff, they demand Justin. When we have episodes without Justin, I get listening. I get feedback from that, and not the good kind. And if you're interested in feedback, we did an episode on it last week. So on feedback. But Jarrod, I want to tell your story. You've been around North Point. You were one of the first people I met at North Point. I met you nearly 11 and a half years ago. We were having, I believe, tell me if this is correct. In my mind, I met you at the Nixa Q&A night when I was brand new to town. Was that true?
Yes, okay. I was there.
Okay, I met you then. And no, was it Sunshine? Did I meet you at Sunshine or Nixa?
No, you met me at Nixa.
Okay, I know I met you and everything else took a backseat to that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, so I've known you for 11 and a half years. You've been around North Point a long time. So what I want to do in this time, I want to talk a little bit about the story of Jarrod Davis and just your journey, your spiritual journey, and your North Point journey, and how it's all culminated to this season. Jarrod is our Republic campus pastor.
I am,
and so we're gonna walk through this, even how we got to this spot. So, Jarrod, start with birth, end with now, hit all the highlights in between.
So, 1979. I was born.
I'm not allowed to ask you how old you are or how much you weigh, but that is something I'm thinking about.
There we go. I'm so almost 45. 1979. So I'm an 80s kid.
Okay.
Born and raised in Kansas, rock jock. I hear you're a Jayhawk. Are you
big West Virginia fan recently?
Yeah.
Yeah. They beat Kansas the other day. So yeah.
Wow.
So
that cuts deep.
That's all right. I want to make sure this is your least favorite episode.
It probably will. I probably won't even listen. So yeah, born in Kansas. I lived there for until I was about 12, and then we picked up and moved
what
to
part of Kansas?
Nixa,
Like
southeast
country?
Kansas. Yeah.
Southeast, is that like Pittsburgh?
Close. Yeah.
Okay.
Close. Parsons, Independence. We were in Altamont, which was, man, probably less than 1,000 people. 20 people in my class.
Do you feel Wizard of Oz fairly depicts Kansas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which part of Wizard of Oz?
Haven't seen it.
Well, that is it. Now, I've got a lot of questions, but okay. Let's just. Yeah, I recommend it, but the color version.
Okay.
So yeah, the black and white
All right.
one. It's just Yeah. Okay. So you grew up in Kansas, 12-year-old, and then you moved to
Nixa, which was a booming place for me.
Yeah.
Because
what brought you to Nixa?
So my parents owned restaurants in southeast Kansas, and they just had a different direction they were headed.
Like
so
Taco Bells? What do you mean?
like family restaurants, so buffet.
Oh, yeah.
Like Golden Corral type stuff.
Yeah.
So we had.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up there. They had like 3 different restaurants, and so they picked up and moved back. They graduated from or went to Springfield or to Evangel, and so they kind of came back here where it was familiar. And then here I was.
Did they open a restaurant in town?
No. He got in. My dad got in the hotel business and has been doing that ever since.
Wow. So did you ever work at a restaurant?
Yes. I worked at Papa's Pizza in Nixa.
Oh yeah.
It's not there anymore.
Okay, but
That's good.
okay. I'm a big pizza fan.
Worked at Cheddar's.
Okay, very good. Yeah, Cheddar's is good. You have a favorite appetizer?
No, I'm not an appetizer guy. I just go right for the chicken.
That makes
steak.
sense. Okay, so 12 years old, Nick's a whole different deal. So what was high school Jarrod like?
Man, that's a loaded question. So I was going to. This is one hit wonder, right? We don't get to stop.
No,
we don't get to
not at
stop.
all.
So high school Jarrod. So I was involved in ministry at James River. So
Okay.
I was there and led a high school Bible study. And
As a high schooler, you're leading your peers.
Yeah.
Okay. So very involved, very churched.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Growing up, even back in Kansas, we were there every time the door was open. Wednesday, Sunday morning, Sunday night. Royal Ranger.
I was a Royal Ranger.
You were?
If you don't know what a Royal Ranger is, it's like Boy Scouts with a denominational advantage.
Yeah.
So it's the Assemblies of God Boy Scouts.
It's like always safe.
I doubt if we can survive anything, but we can quote more scripture than the average Boy Scout.
Yeah, we can.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah, so I went to Nixa High School, and then right out of that, went to Central Bible College.
okay.
So-
Central Bible College. And if you're not a historian, that was a school independent of Evangel, kind of
Right.
merged into like the School of Ministry for
Yeah.
Evangel.
Yeah.
And so you graduated and, with a Bible degree to go be a pastor.
Yeah, Bible degree, major in Bible and pastoral ministry.
Okay.
And then graduated way too young, but I was young, and then
How old were you?
I graduated, was married, and in full-time ministry at 20 years old.
That's a
Bought
lot.
a house. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
And so did you pastor right away? You got a job as a pastor?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that in Springfield? Where'd you go?
So I went to Arkansas and was in Bella Vista for about 3 years. And then from there was Hot Springs. And then my last position in Arkansas was in Jacksonville, Cabot, North Little Rock area.
Okay. So pastoring in a few different settings, young pastor, newly married. What was that season like? Just learning all these things.
It was, man, I felt like I was born to do this. Like I loved it. It was great. Did the student ministry thing for a while, and then I was an executive pastor at my last position. And man, my family life wasn't great. Yeah, so that was difficult.
Okay. So how long into marriage were you at the spot where you're like, okay, hey, I don't know this is going well?
Pretty early on, like right away. It was it was pretty early.
And I know obviously with how many people, not obviously with how many people listen to us, but obviously because of humans, anyone listening to us, my guess is there's a lot of people who know that sinking feeling that know like, oh my goodness, I'm in a situation, I don't know how I got in here. I don't know if it's going to get better. What did you do? Did you start talking about it openly, seek help with it, self-medicating? What do you do? What did you do? Or what did you do?
Just basically shut down. I mean, so, I knew there was issues and there was struggles. I wanted counseling, just didn't ever translate, never really ended up happening. And so you just kind of shut all those things down. And I found myself in, chasing my calling. I was doing what I loved to do, wanted to do. I knew I was hurting and broken, but I knew if I said anything or did anything that I didn't know what that would mean for me, for my future. And so you just kind of callous over and you just keep going, right?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and that's a really odd spot, especially in the lens of it's different than if you're running, a battery company, right? And you're like, hey, I'm really hurting with some family things at home right now. They're like, can you still change a battery? Cool.
Right.
How's that going to impact your work? But when you are a pastor at a church, specifically, traditional, any type of traditional venue, there is a strong awareness of if I don't have a healthy family setting, then that could impact my job. And it's true because we want to minister out of health. But at the same time, that's such an awkward deal because that doesn't lend itself towards asking for help or including people in your life. And so that isolation's got to feel super lonely. How long and how lonely was that?
It was, yeah. I mean, it was very lonely, very long. And early on in my ministry, it was very, I don't know, it was very, grew up very traditional. And so you witness people that go through that, go through divorce, go through heartaches. And very early on, it was just like, well, you just need to love Jesus more, right? You got to figure this out, love Jesus more. And then 10 years later to walk through that and just be like, wow, this is hard. This is difficult. And so just to feel ostracized, to feel alone, to feel, like I am not qualified anymore to do what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing.
And you probably even got a letter of that.
Yes, I was
verified that fear.
It confirmed that, and then just radio silence.
What
and
did
so
that? Okay,
hard.
so and again, I know it's not therapy, but I think it's helpful. So you end up having you start going through a divorce. Mm-hmm. It ends up when it impacted your job and role right away, and your accreditation, your credentials denominationally. When you get that letter or you get that announcement, whether it's losing the job, losing the credentials, or however that looked for your situation, what did that feel like?
Just earth-shattering. Like I had no idea where I was going to go, what I was going to do. It happened in the middle of the job crisis. So, I'm coming into 2008, 2009, I think coming back to Nixa. No one was hiring.
And you have a degree from Central Bible College.
Central Bible College. And so, so I'm just thinking, what am I going to do? And I mean, no one was hiring. I couldn't get a job at a fast food place. It's just how it was. And so it was a struggle.
And you have kids.
Yeah, I've got 3 kids counting on me to feed them and put food on the table and walking through this. Just I felt alone. It was hard. It was a hard season.
So you move back to town, probably family near you and whatnot. Right. Where did you find work?
So I got into insurance, doing claims at Shelter Insurance, and got in.
We're your shelter. We're your
shield.
We're your shield. That's right.
Yeah, did that for a while, and several years, but followed that path for, I don't know, over 10 years in insurance.
How long did it take you to feel like, okay, some of these leadership skills that served you really well in a church setting actually translate?
Pretty early. I mean, within the first several months, it was, definitely translated well in that market. So
yeah. So okay, so you're trying to get stability. Okay, so how long did it take you to feel like you had some semblance of financial stability in this? Did it take years?
Was it 2024? No, just kidding. Just kidding. No, I think probably 2 or 3 years in. It probably took that long to feel like I can do this. We can make this. Okay,
but you said something earlier in our conversation. You said when you were pastoring, you got this job that you felt like I was born to do this. What did you do with that when you were removed for years from doing that?
So initially I was just angry. I was angry at church, angry at God, angry at everything. But I've still got these boys, so I'm like, I got to raise these boys in church, and so I landed. That's kind of how my journey started with North Point. I started at Sunshine, and Troy Hartman was there, and I felt like I needed to share my story with him. And
were you new at Sunshine at the time?
Yeah. Just walked in the door, and
were you nervous walking in the door? Did you, and why North Point?
I don't know. It was close over by where I worked. So I saw that place, and I was like, I wonder what that's about. And so I just walked in and didn't even know what to expect. Felt super uncomfortable. Like I shouldn't be here. Like this is not good. I shouldn't be here. But I just felt nudging, like share your story with Troy, and I got to.
Troy was a campus pastor. He planted a church in Kansas many years ago, but he and Lacey planted out of North Point. Legendary staff.
Yes.
you couldn't have picked a better person to approach. So
Yeah.
what did that look like?
So I felt like God was nudging me to tell your story, and I'm just thinking the whole time, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna tell my story and then be disposed one more time, and that's gonna be my license to just walk away from this.
Was it to save you some pain of like, if you're going to reject me, I don't want to name the cow. I just want to, will I be welcome here? Is it that?
Well, it was just, I was looking for a reason to walk away, to walk away from, not really faith, but just walk away from church, walk away from just areas that brought pain. And so, yeah, so I share my story with him, and Troy stops me and says, man, did you say you're from Nixa? I said, yeah, I live in Nixa. I was like, man, we're getting ready to start a church campus in Nixa, and I think you're just the person to help with that. And I'm just like, wow, okay. So then I meet Tim Perkins.
Tim Perkins.
Great guy.
Pastor in California.
Yeah.
Tim and Tiffany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And John J. Wilson was part of that whole journey. So, man, another great guy that just my friend. I just need friends, right? I was just lonely. And so all of the people that I had, been in life with and doing ministry with, they didn't know what to say when all of this happened. So they just didn't say anything. So I was alone. I was hurting. And so I just needed friends, and John J. Wilson was there, and so I just plugged in at Nixa and volunteered in every capacity I was allowed to participate in, and loved it.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting, like allowed to participate in, and I mean, you got involved, and you still struggled with the sense of, am I worthy? You use that word, worthy of ministry.
Yeah.
And at what point did you think, man, I think I am. I think this is still what God's designed me to do, and it hasn't been drowned forever.
I mean, I think deep inside, I always knew that. The Scripture says that the calling of God's irrevocable, right? And so it's like, that means to not be repented of, that God's not going to change his mind. So I knew deep down that this is what God wants from me, and this is my passion, my calling. But it was just, would that ever happen? Would people ever say, yeah, I think you can do that again? And so I just jumped in. I was in the parking lot, serving in the parking lot, and then, various other areas.
Yeah. What was it? Minute
26.
Minute 26.
Yeah.
That was kind of legendary too.
Yeah.
Like, it was a small group of like some of the core Nixa folk who helped. I mean, they carried the weight of this new church campus plant on their backs with their serving, and they had some season in their faith, and it was kind of a crew of that, and you helped lead that.
Yeah, so that was, and it was at minute 26, so it was 26 minutes into the service. So we had 2 services, and then all the volunteers that were serving, so it was, they'd serve that service, and then they'd come in, and we had, just a small group community. Yeah, it was good.
Wow. So I've always known you as someone who's very committed to the mission, and has just invested in this mission with your time, with your treasure, just someone who believes in what God's doing and reaching, and loved the fact that you experienced a safe place to find Jesus here. And there's been several times over the years where, having a conversation or with other staff or even with you, that you're thinking, okay, it's obvious you've got some unique gifts and a passion for mission, that if the right role were to present itself, man, it just, we can see a good fit. And how long was it? How long ago was it that you joined the team at the Nixa campus in a staff role?
In a staff role, it was October of 22.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too long ago.
Yeah. And so I remember having a conversation with you, and the role that you took, and I don't know, it was just, you were taking a major leap of faith, because what's interesting is when you got out of ministry in a work setting years ago, you had to start at the ground level in the corporate world. And at this point, you were doing really well.
Yeah, I was doing all right.
And so now you're married to Brittany, and you've got, and your family's growing.
Yeah.
And at that point, there's this opportunity. And it was one of those, like, I know that this opportunity is not the same financial picture of what you're currently in now that you've been succeeding in this insurance industry for quite a while. But you refused us to say your no for you. But I remember that temptation of like, we can't ask him to take this job. And why did you say yes?
Because I was born to do this. It's not about a paycheck. You got to be doing what you feel like God has put in front of you. And so there were moments all through that time that I tried to pry the doors open. I had applied for, multiple positions over the years at North Point. It just was never a fit and just never happened. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I just said, okay, I guess that's a dream. I'd love to be doing that, but it's just not going to happen for me. And I have to be okay with that. And I'm not going to pry this door open because I've tried and I can't.
Yeah.
And then it just landed all together. I mean, Jeremy Alvarez took a shot with me and we just had some conversations and it was just a fit. I mean, and so for me, it wasn't about the paycheck. I mean, it was definitely a leap of faith, right? But in my journey through all the things that I've been through, I've learned just when God's in it, you just hold on, and you get to be a part of the ride. And so I was like, I don't know how you're going to make this work, God, but that's not on me. The onus isn't on me.
Wow.
That's like not my role. So I just gotta hold on and say, this is going to be a great ride. So, so we took the leap.
Wow. Well, one of the things that was, we anticipated, and it certainly was the case, is you have such a pastoral heart for people and taking care of your role there with connections of, in at the time it was facilitating leadership for the groups there and building just a great crew of volunteers on a weekly basis, and the way you were caring for them. We were so thrilled to have you on the team. Then if we fast forward to last fall, you'd probably been on a team maybe a year.
Yeah.
And we had a transition at the Republic campus. When Will Maxwell was transitioning from a staff role, is we had a big gap. I mean, the big gap is, we have this Republic campus, which is so important to the mission, the vision of North Point. And anytime you have transition, from my role, I get really nervous because I'm like, man, I really know the leadership makes such a big difference. And to think, okay, what do we do? And I remember talking to the staff. I mean, this is so early on in the process. I remember talking to the staff saying, hey, we're having transition. I'm going to start this process. And I think we're going to take some time, evaluate the search process in such a way where we're open for this to come from outside. We just want to get this right as we hire this gap. And you were someone that, in my mind, we were going to have a conversation right away. But you contacted me.
Yeah, you didn't tell me that.
I didn't tell you that.
You didn't tell me that.
So you contacted me that day. And my understanding is you said, hey, I'd love to have a conversation. And what I loved is you took all the pressure off. You communicated, hey, I feel in my gut God wants me to have a conversation. But you also gave, which I think is a great model, you said, hey, there's no pressure for this to be a match and no pressure for me to be the person. I just feel this strong sense that we need to have a conversation. And you took the weight off of me if it would have been awkward for me to be like, I don't know how to communicate this to you, but God didn't tell me. But you said, I want to have a conversation. And part of the way I'm wired, I'm like, okay, we'll see how bad he wants to have the conversation. I think it was like 9:30 at night or 10 at night? And I said, hey, if you want to meet me tonight at 10:30 at Waffle House, we can have the conversation. And I'm thinking, how bad does he want the conversation? And you said, which one? See you there. And we sat down at Waffle House that night. So you tell me your perspective of what God was kind of putting on your heart.
So I think it was the next day. So I think we found out on Monday, and my wife always she always hears from God before me. Yeah, I'm always bitter about it, but there was a position or a different thing that she was looking to pursue probably a month or two prior to this. And she said, I'm ready. I've got my stuff ready. I'm going to send it in tomorrow. I said, okay. And then so then I got home the next day and she just, I didn't send it in. I was like, oh, okay, why? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like you're going to be a campus pastor. And I just, okay. I don't see that happening. Like I don't see that happening. Jeremy Alves is doing a great job. I don't think he's planning on leaving anytime soon. And I don't really hate, Nick's is home. Like this is where I'm at. And so then as that transition happens, I'm thinking, I tell her about that after I find out about the transitions and she just kind of looking at me, she's like, okay. And I was like, what? Nick's is home. Like I don't know that. Going to Republic, I don't know. Like I'm from Nixa. I've grown up here my whole life since moving here. I've got kids that have graduated from here. I've got family here. I don't know if they're gonna accept me. I don't know if they're gonna like.
Nixa beat Republican football. So that's a sore spot in Republic.
It is tender for them, right? It's like, is it too soon? Yeah. And so I'm just thinking, I don't know. I don't think this is going to be a fit for me. I don't think it's going to be a fit for Republic. I'm not sure. But it was the next morning I was getting ready and I'm internalizing this. So I hear my voice, saying this. I'm not talking to myself out loud, but I am in my mind. I'm just saying, I don't think so. And as soon as I said that, the Holy Spirit just hit me with a 2x4 and just said, that's not your call. That's not your call. And I just froze because I realized what that meant. I was like, I'm going to Republic. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I don't know. I just at least need to be obedient to what God has placed on my heart. And so that's kind of when I opened up for a conversation with you. And I kind of wanted to throw it on you for you to say, nah, this isn't for you, because just the uncertainty, but God was in it. And we had these conversations at Waffle House, which is a great place to have conversations. And here we are. I'm at Republic, and man, such great people. I have such a great team there. With Whitney and Maddie and Philip, and Thomas, and everybody I met there. It's been great people.
Well, in those first moments of having the conversation with you, specifically when we were like, okay, hey, let's throw it all out there. Like, okay, we need God to breathe life into this, and what do we sense the need there in Republic? I know, man, you are driven to take care of people. You've got a lot of drive too, organizationally, or for the organization, and you're very organized in this. And my thought is, man, that pastoral relational passion, the thing that you were born to do. I'm like, man, this is such a good gift mix between what you bring to the table, what the needs are. And so we were thrilled, so thrilled that God had prepared you, positioned you to be able to lead in this capacity. And it's been a few months now, and I just want you, I want everyone who's hearing to know how thankful I am for you, Jarrod. You are an answer to prayer. You and Brittany and your family, you're an answer to prayer. I love the way you love people. I love the way you love Jesus. I love that you refuse to just dismiss a calling that God put in your life. I love your story. And then I love what's going on in Republic, is your ability to connect and to rally a team. And you're right, you have a phenomenal team and I think of like, a weekend recently that we had like 1 degree or something. It was so cold, yet your team still set up and whatnot. What are some things early on at Republic that you love the most about one, the community, the job, that kind of thing?
Man, just the people and the grit. Like this is still fresh. It's still church plantish, right?
Yeah.
And the people, the campus that's there, they just have grit and determination. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. There are people hurting here in Republic that just need a safe place.
Yeah.
And if we've got to do that in a community center for a while, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to tear down, set up every single weekend, just to create a safe place. And we're believing God's going to provide a location for us permanently soon. But
yes,
but wherever that's going to be, right? I mean, it's just the grit. Like, we're going to keep doing this, however long we need to do this to make a safe place for these people.
Yeah. And a building is not the magic ingredient that validates a church. But it certainly could be something that we can leverage as a community, as a 24/7 presence. And we've seen that to be true in Nixa, even going from a permanent strip mall location to, what some people would say a real church, right? It does make an impact in a lot of people, good, bad, or ugly. Some people are like, man, I'm now more open to it. And so we are believing that's a big part of the puzzle, is that as God prepares this place, and we are prepared as an organization to jump as soon as God says, hey, this is a place that could be a permanent home for us. And so I get updates from you, a lot of buildings that would never work, but we're optimistic, and at least it's there. It's a building.
It is a building.
But we're looking for that. But Jarrod, even if we never had that, I just believe that there are people who need a safe place to find and follow Jesus in Republic. I believe in our volunteers there, our community there. I believe in our leadership team there. I'm so thankful for you. And if you're listening today and maybe you're in a spot where, one, you're overwhelmed, you're discouraged in your faith, I hope as you hear Jarrod's story, you're reminded of your story, that, man, God's with you, and your life might not currently look like what you expected it to look like. It might not feel that, and you might not have the validation of others, but other people can't validate you because they're not the one who put the dream inside of you. God did, and so God is still at work. And so hang on, and on your bad days, don't self-sabotage. On your bad days, do the right thing, for like what you said for you and your kids. You're like, man, I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm hurting, but I still need to do the right thing because it makes an impact. And I want you to know the years of you just doing the right thing, probably sometimes out of sheer stubbornness, but it's still called obedience, and it's still called worship when you do that. And God honors that, and there's always a blessing on the other side of obedience like that. So thank you, Jarrod, for your story, for giving church another shot. A church doesn't have to be a place that just dismisses. Church can be a place that connects people with Jesus. And I hope that's the truth for many. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me share my story, and I hope it's helpful for somebody out there.
All right. Well, if you know somebody in Republic, man, we're excited. We meet right now at the Rec Center, and 10:30 every Sunday. We have a lot of opportunities to serve. If you want to kind of get in on that scrappy feeling, you live near there, or you want to be part of that team, contact anyone there, the Republic campus. You can find us online there. But bottom line is, if you want to help create a great place for people in Republic, we've got opportunities there. Also, there's so many hundreds and hundreds of people moving into Republic. And so people out there, send them North Point's way if we can be a help there. But thanks for listening to another episode of The Riff, and we'll come back at you next week. Thanks again, Jarrod.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.